Hi everyone, Teri Wellbrock here. Just wanted to take a moment before today's episode to share the exciting news that I decided to do a Healers of Hilton Head series. And so that will be coming up. I just conducted the first interview yesterday with two amazing healers here on Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. And yes, it's going to be focused on all of the healers here in this area and on this island, or a huge number of them. I've had so many people sign up to be on board, but it's going to apply globally to anyone, no matter where you are listening, because what I want to do, my goal with this, is to shine a light onto the idea that within any small community, there are so many healers, so many people willing to help you along your journey. And that's why I just want to help people understand all that's available, and or at least the options to look for. And a lot of this can be done virtually now, a lot of these healing modalities. So again, yes, it's going to be Healers of Hilton Head series, but it will apply globally. So be sure to stay tuned. I will obviously be talking about this upcoming series, and may even just have a specific landing page that you can go visit just to watch this series. So then you're not having to sort through. So again, keep an eye out if you're a YouTube watcher. I love this show. And yeah, so stay tuned. I'm so excited. All right, now for today's beautiful, beautiful episode. Thanks. Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Place podcast. I'm your host, Teri Wellbrock, and very, very excited today to welcome Abigail Moss. And she is shaman, hypnotherapist, mentor, and more. And so welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Teri. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, yes, we're going to dive into some wonderful topics on the work that you're doing in the world. So could you give us a quick little intro on what it is you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I help people with trauma healing, with feeling at home in their body, with remembering their own inner medicine and letting that medicine be what guides their healing, finding their wisdom and letting that be their guide. And it's really beautiful to see people both heal and connect with a part of themselves that has this medicine, this wisdom and magic. So that's what I get to do.
Beautiful. And I love it when I was reading some of the communications we had back and forth with each other and popping on your website. I'd never heard of it worded that way, and it so resonated with my soul of our own medicine, and that we each have our own unique gift to give to the world and ourselves.
Yeah. There's this concept of original medicine, this idea that we come into the world with a medicine that nobody else has. And simply by embracing who you are authentically and sharing that with the world, you're sharing your medicine with the world. And if you don't share it, we just don't get to see it. So it's a really beautiful thing to find this part of yourself and let that be free.
Beautiful. I know I've been on my own physical healing journey for the past just over a year. I had exposure to mold, and my body didn't process it because of my trauma history. And so I had some mycotoxin poisoning, and I had heard different things and people talking about, you have to learn to listen to your body, just be still and listen. And I've been trying that and doing meditations and so forth, and just asking, all right, what is it that, what do you need? And I'm not kidding when I said last week I was sitting outside and I was like taking some deep breaths and just kind of being still and saying, what do you need? And my body kept saying calcium.
Wow, specific. That's so nice.
And I was like,
specific.
Okay, but I can't do dairy stuff. And so I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. So my parents always ate cottage cheese, and I thought it was the most disgusting thing in the whole universe. I was like, ooh, like cheese curds, oh. So I ran up to Whole Foods and I said, all right, I'm just going to buy some organic and just try it. It is my new favorite thing in the whole universe. And my body's like, thank you.
Good that you listened and good your body so clearly spoke. That's so helpful and grounded.
Yeah, I mean, I kept asking and kept asking and kept asking, but finally
Yeah,
I was like, all
that's
right,
the way.
Teri, just silence the mind and just sit here and listen. So,
Yes, absolutely. Good for you. And my blessings to you on your physical healing journey. I've been on one for the last couple of years too, and it's definitely a very it's a powerful process. I find with the body, it's one of those things like you can't ignore. If it tells you you need to listen and makes it so you can't do stuff, you have to listen. So
oh, for
I can
sure.
relate.
Yes. Well, blessings to you as well as you continue to
Thanks.
heal and travel your journey. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've been working through candida overgrowth, and I think probably also because of trauma, it's been taking longer to heal, but in the process, learning so many lessons of things I had to let go of different thought processes, beliefs, and then emotion. I just found so much emotion in my body and just releasing that again and again. I just finished a breathwork facilitator training that over this past 5 days, and oh my God, it's so intense. So many tears, and uh, it's amazing how much our bodies can hold on to. And I
Yeah.
just have even deeper respect and love for my body and for everyone's body. There's just so much intelligence inside of it. And it goes through everything we go through and it remembers it.
Yes.
It's amazing.
I've been practicing Ho'oponopono Hawaiian healing
Mm,
prayer on my body
nice.
and just telling it. And right now it's getting a little tingly as I talk about it because it
Mm,
knows. It's like it knows I love it. And I'm just
mm,
like, I am so sorry I didn't give you the love and care that you needed for so long.
mm.
But it works. And I love it that you're doing the breath work as well. And and again, as we talk, it's like if we don't just talk the talk, but walk the walk as healers,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
resonates with people because
it's
then they're
so
like,
important.
okay, they get it.
Absolutely. It's something they said in my training, and I agree with. You can only bring people as deep as you're willing to go and as you've been. And even if I'm helping someone who doesn't have the specific issue that I've been through, being able to meet them at that place of depth and presence. And for me, anyway, it's about being in my body and breathing and connecting with someone and working through the layers of anxiety that come from being seen and being witnessed. And such a profound thing. And I think as a healer too, for my own mental health, I do the work because I don't want to deal with that imposter syndrome. Thoughts like,
Yes,
you need to walk the walk if you're going to talk the talk.
yes, it's so very true. I recently started back to EMDR therapy because I said, going through all this, I have to be able to take my mental health into consideration and do that self-care part of it as well. But it's what I talk about on the show. It's what I talk about in everything that I do is being willing to do that work. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I love what you said earlier too, where that you love your body and you're sorry for not being here earlier. I've been through that a lot too. It's like I've gone through stages of being angry at my body, being frustrated. Like, why isn't it just easier like it is for so many other people? But that's not my path. But coming to that place of self-love too, I feel like doing that inner work, it's such a practice of self-love, and it's such a beautiful thing to give yourself. It's something that you're holding space for and helping others to find inside of them. We're worthy of that too. Everybody is.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's so very true. And that trauma stuff just rears its head sometimes, even though we work so hard to heal it.
So
And
many
being
layers.
oh my gosh, the self-critical, like I have this horrific rash all over me and just being very critical of
Mm-hmm.
myself. But then I did the work that I talk about all the time and just was like, just just go out there, buy yourself a new swimsuit, treat yourself to something awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Bought myself a cute suit and went on out onto the beach and had a blast and tossed football and just was like, I am what I
Good for
am.
you.
And yeah.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Especially for women, to be able to embrace our bodies without shame and love them. What an amazing thing, and what so many layers of conditioning to break free of to get to that place for so many of us. So that's beautiful.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So let's steer towards your work and the healing that you offer. So do you do courses with people? Do you do one-on-one? How do you work with
Yeah, I do both. What I do mostly is I do group work, primarily with women, where we meet once a week for 6 months. And it's all about stepping into their body, healing their nervous system, releasing past traumas, learning how to navigate their mind and make their mind an ally. And with that, getting really into the intuitive gifts and learning how to listen to their intuition, how to sense the more subtle world. That all kind of ties in when they can sense what's going on an energetic level. It makes it a lot more viable to be able to work with these things, work with trauma as energy, and really release it from a really deep and profound place. So we do that, and I also do one-on-one work with those students. I find for me the most powerful way that I can serve is through a sacred container and community where they learn these tools to empower themselves. And then they also have one-on-one support where we can really go deeper and personalize what they need at that time. So yeah, I get to watch people go from a lot of them come like, I don't know why I'm here. I just feel called. I feel like there's something bigger. I guess maybe I'm supposed to do this. And others just want to heal, and others really want to access their intuitive gifts. But we go on the 6-month journey, and I don't know where it's going to take us. I'm just here to facilitate and hold space. But I get to see these people go from just being in pain to really stepping into their power. And a lot of them go on to become healers, to share their medicine. And it's this beautiful path to see. And I feel like so many of us who have been through a lot of pain and trauma, that is a big part of our journey is learning how to heal that inside of ourselves, but also share what we learn with others and hold space for other people's healings too. So becoming healers in themselves. So yeah, it blows me away because I never know what any one class, I know what I'm teaching, but I don't know how it's going to land or what's going to come from that. And it's so much fun because it's like, it's bigger than me and I just get to be a part of it.
Yes. You know what popped into my head as you said that, and it's just a visual of taking like a handful of seeds of wildflowers and just tossing them out.
I love
And
that.
then seeing what blossoms, like, oh, I wonder what's going to come up, because that's what I saw, and I got goosebumps as you talked, because it's so very
Yeah.
true of just like, yes, you know it's going to be something beautiful, but what is it that's going to blossom out of the work you're doing?
That's the magic in it. And there's this sort of sacred space that gets to be held there. And it's watching other people step into their own magic. And they help each other too. They have exercises they do between classes where they guide each other through these journeys. And it's beautiful to see people realize that they have a medicine, to just have a safe place where they can begin opening up and exploring that. And that I think there's a confidence that comes from that too. It's this realization that I just helped this other person through a transformative journey. I have a lot more strength than maybe I realized.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the power of connection, and I call it yeah, like soul connections, when we start to share
Yes.
truths, when we start to put
Mm.
our like allow our vulnerability, these beautiful soul connections happen.
Oh, it's amazing. And the breathwork training I just did, we did something called dyads, where we would have a partner and we would just uh, say something. We would say a prompt like, tell me something you want me to know about yourself. And then you would speak, and then I would say thank you. And then you would ask me that. We just go back and forth. And it's amazing the level of intimacy that happens through a process like that, through just being fully authentic and just the layers of releasing and feeling and just coming into the sense of connection. And you say soul connection, I think of that because I've just been so immersed in that. But I think it's something we all crave, the sense of a place where we can be authentic, where we can be ourselves and be seen and also witness another. And it at first it feels scary because it's so unfamiliar. And all of our stuff comes up like, oh, well, what if they're going to judge this or that? Or maybe it's going to be too much for me. But when we have a sacred space where all of you is welcome and it's not too much and it's okay to be whoever, whatever you need to be in that moment, it's such a transformative thing. I love community and I love a sacred container for that because it's that in and of itself can be so transformative. And
Yes.
I know, yeah,
I just want to say one thing, and then I want you to clarify
go
secret
ahead.
container
Yeah.
for us. But when I, again, apologize for being late to our appointment this morning because I was lost
Oh
in
my
my
God.
writing. But
I
I
love that
think
you're lost in your writing.
well, I was talking about my son and him. I was sharing something about him putting something out. He's taking a philosophy course. And so anyway, and people were commenting about his willingness to express to be vulnerable and to put his vulnerability out there. And so I was writing about that response to him being vulnerable. And my therapist had said, we need to work on, like ridding yourself of vulnerability. And I said, hold up. I've worked hard to like allow myself to express my vulnerability. And I said, that's how I connect with others in the work that I do. I said, I think having healthy boundaries around our vulnerability. And so is that what you're talking about with your sacred container?
Yeah, I think I'm 100% on board with vulnerability. Just want to say first off, I think vulnerability is another word for authenticity in this context. I think it's really about being authentic, and I know Brene Brown talks a lot about that. And she often has these event organizers say, "Yeah, could you do it, but without the vulnerability?" It's like, well, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it makes people uncomfortable because it might scare them to touch that part of themselves that they don't know what's going to happen. We can't always control it or how other people are going to respond. But yeah, in terms of the containers that I hold, 100%, it's really about it's okay however you feel. So when we do a check-in, if you don't feel good, don't say you feel good. Like, be authentic with what you're experiencing in that moment. And if you don't want to share, then that's okay too. But it's I feel like we live in a world where we're social creatures. We've learned to mold ourselves in a way that will please others, in a way that will create this social sense of ease where we can flow through things without having to go too deep. But a lot of us are hurting, and it can get really lonely. And a lot of the people I work with, they are empaths, they're seekers, and they have these mystical experiences that they don't know how to explain. And it's hard for other people to hear because maybe they're not ready to go there. That's not their belief system. So having a space where they can talk about those things and they can be nurtured in that way and discover more, then it's so nourishing to have that. It's just like a part of us gets to be freed, and it's like a breath of fresh air.
Oh, without a doubt. I grew up very Catholic. My dad was a Jesuit for 8 years. My mom wanted to be a nun. And so it was like the most Catholic upbringing ever. But I still embrace my faith, but in parts of it, my mom calls me a cafeteria Catholic, where I go through, yeah, no to that. Yeah, that. But I'm just learning to embrace so much. There's so much more, and there's just the vastness of the universe. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you about was your shamanic role. So, when I first started into this podcast and healing work, like shaman would come up, and I had a whole different vision of, just think of, I guess, from, like societal definition. So can you just kind of talk to us a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to comment. I love cafeteria Catholic. It's great, and I think that's what it's all about. Yes and no. It's discerning what it means to you. So I think spirituality is such a personal experience and place to discover. And yeah, I really believe that it's not for me to tell anybody else. It's for them to explore what it is for them. And shaman or shamanism, it can feel like a loaded word because we have this particular idea of what it means. Or we get an image in our mind of a drum and don't really know what it is beyond that. For me, I went into I'll share a little bit of my backstory and how I kind of dove into it, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, cool. So I needed to heal my own self because I was going through severe depression and just going down this deep rabbit hole of all of the things that are painful on the planet between people and animals and the land. And there's just this ache in me. I went out through all of these documentaries, just got more and more heartbroken. And I just needed to heal. So I went to Peru. I worked with ayahuasca, with plant medicines, and with the shamans that are there, that have worked with these beautiful plants for thousands of years in their lineage. And that experience woke me up to another world, woke me up to a world of spirit, because I didn't have a lot of mystical experiences in my life. I just, was going about my business until I needed to heal. And working with that plant, a lot of the people speak to the plant about it as if it is an intelligent being. And that was my experience. It's like a relationship with the spirit of that plant. And it opened me up to this world of light, of consciousness, of energy, of the earth and the cosmos. It's so profound and so vivid, and feels very real, like you and I talking here today. And with that, I came home to Calgary, Alberta, Canada, talking about these experiences of this giant woman made of light touched my face, and I was washed in love, and people just looked at me like I had three heads, like I can't relate to this. And so it got lonely, and so I needed to find a way to connect with others like me, but also to go deeper into understanding or experiencing more of what I touched with ayahuasca. And so I went into train in shamanic Chinese medicine. And with that, we learned how to connect with the subtle world. So it was like ayahuasca showed me a door into what is available, of what another world that exists. And so I spent the next 7 years learning how to step through that door on my own, how to feel the energy, how to work with spirit, how to work with things like spirit guides and the spirit in my body, within animals, within the land, and use that for healing, as well as a greater sense of connection with this amazing existence of life. So yeah, that was my path. And how that plays out, it's working with energy, working with mind, working with spirit to bring about healing, especially through a soul level. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you saw me beaming the whole time, like you were talking, because this is all radiating with me, and only
Mm.
because it's all so new with me. And yesterday I had to work, like the job that pays my bills, and I was coming down some steps, and we live on Hilton Head Island, and there's these live oaks that are massive and so glorious and so beautiful and have been here forever. And I was just coming down the stairs, and I stopped dead in my tracks because there was massive live oak in front of me. And I just stopped and I said, "Hi, it's so nice to meet you." And I said, "Thank you. If you could just radiate a little bit of your strength into me, because you're so
Mm.
strong and I just feel it coming from you." And I said, "Thank you so much." And then I carried on and went on. But I never would have done that a year ago, but I'm learning to just stop and appreciate that energy when I sense it.
It's beautiful. I love that. That's what it's all about. It's like it's awakening to this life, this and being able to sense and feel that, and just giving yourself permission to stop and be like, hey, could you share that with me, or can we talk? That's so beautiful. That's
Yeah.
what it was like for me a lot when I came home from Peru. I was just hugging trees and feeling wind as, musical notes, and it's just an incredible world that we live in. And there's someone, a mentor I liked, I followed a lot in my earlier days, Eckhart Tolle, and he
Yes.
talks a lot about being present and just being present to this moment. And I thought it was funny. People would say, "Oh, this is so psychedelic," and so he said, "Well, I took some psychedelics because everyone kept saying it was like this, and nothing happened." And I thought he was just be in that world all the time.
Yes.
But it's when our mind, I think it's like when the ego quiets down and the beliefs of what is and what isn't, the sense of separation softens, we open up to this magic, this energy and aliveness all around us.
Oh, for sure. Is Eckhart Tolle The Power of Now?
Yeah,
Yes.
100%. That's
Yeah, that
him.
was the
Yeah.
very, very first book that shifted everything for me. That
Me
was the
too.
one that I said,
Mhm.
okay, like I can't see life different. The same now. Like I see it through a different lens.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's
and I
powerful.
do. I live my life in the now. And I even and I don't know about you, but I'll be sitting up, on the beach and just having a moment, and then my eyes well with tears, because
Mm.
I
Mhm.
get so emotional and I say for no reason, but I know it's not for no reason, but to the outside world, it's for no reason.
Mm.
Because I just feel this overwhelming sense of gratitude and love and joy. And yeah.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It happens to me all the time. I just sometimes I'll look at mountains when we drive into the mountains. We have about an hour and a half away, and I see them and I just start crying because it's so beautiful. And when I feel like life and the universe and consciousness, like this whole thing is so incredible and profound, and the bigness of it. The only way that my body and my spirit knows how to respond most of the time is through tears. It's like, that's just so incredible. I need to cycle some of this through my system by
Yes,
releasing water from my eyes.
yes, it's so true though. Like it just wells up and it's like, okay, it's got to release. So it's going to come out through these
Yeah,
tears.
yeah, it's such a big thing. It's so beautiful. So reminds me of when my dad passed away, like 2 years ago. He was in his 90s, so he was, he lived a good life. And having witnessed, I didn't see him come into the world, but having witnessed him complete his cycle of this life in the world and feel his spirit move on into the light, there is just so much love in my heart. It was just so big, and the bigness of it was so profound that all I could do was cry and breathe because I just was blown away by how incredible it is to be alive and to be here with each other. It's just unbelievable.
Yes. And isn't it amazing to be able to reach that point even after the trauma? I mean, you said you've had trauma in your life and even
Mhm.
being on a physical healing journey, and me too. Like I know, well, again, I'm going to go down a different path for just a second, but I'll put like posts out on social media of me smiling and having a blast and playing pickleball and being on the beach. And so everybody thinks, oh, she's in such a great place. But physically, like I'm struggling, right? And I'm
Mhm.
hurting. But I just try to say, all right, my body's going through this thing, but you can still be in this amazing place of joyousness and love, even though you're struggling.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It is. It's like being able to hold both at the same time, to be
Yeah.
able to feel the pain and the joy together, and knowing that they don't need to be separated. It's this integration of light and dark, this duality of life. There's so much beauty and joy and pleasure, but there's almost also so much suffering, like within us and around us. But can we witness both? Can we be witness to both? And
Yeah.
I feel like that's where we really open up and integrate more and more.
Right. Beautiful, beautiful
Yeah.
visual that you just painted. Yes, very much so.
Mm.
So, um, yeah. Anything that anywhere you wanted to steer this. I'm just so caught up in all the beauty of this conversation and soul sister connection. So,
I love it. I love it. No, I love being able to connect in this way. And when you're talking about kind of the body and the joy as well, like the pain and the pleasure is kind of where it brings to mind for me. And I feel like we're in this place, like individually and collectively, of trying to figure out how to regulate all of that, like how to heal the trauma. Because I feel like, with the pandemic, a lot of us came to face our own shadows, or were sat with our own shadows and maybe didn't know how to deal with them, because who knows until you learn.
right.
um, but I feel like we're going through this kind of global transition in the world of, can we witness both the pleasure and the pain? Can we allow the shadow to be there? Can we sit in vulnerability with it? And I think it's how we navigate these next times that are so gentle and delicate and profound and challenging all at the same time. So there's this emergence of another part of us that wants to be recognized and healed and integrated.
Yes. I love what you just said about sit in vulnerability with that darkness, because that's a scary prospect, right? To think
Yeah,
about
totally.
knowing that we're allowing our vulnerability in the moment, but that's where we learn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. To something that we went over in my breathwork training is talking about the window of tolerance. So can you be in that uncomfortable place just a little bit longer? Like that place where you want to get up and go. can you just sit in that a little bit more and see what happens? And as long as you have curiosity, where a part of you is curious, like, well, I wonder what would happen on the other side of this discomfort, then it's good. Then you're in that place of, going a little deeper, a little deeper. If you're no longer curious, then you're outside the window of tolerance, step back. But I think it's a really helpful tool. Like, okay, can I sit with this a little more? What would happen if I just kept breathing? If I just breathed a little more, if I just meditated a little more, what would happen then?
Oh,
It's fun to
I
find
so
out.
love it. Yes. And again, I smile big because I've had a fear of open spaces develop. I thought it was related to true traumatic events where I was involved in bank robberies and trapped in an open space with armed gunmen. And so I kept going back to that. And then I finally was like, we just have been doing so much healing work on this. Let's just not try to label it and see what's going on. So we eventually figured it out in EMDR, what was happening, which I've talked about on past episodes. But so I've been challenging myself in these wide open spaces of the beach to just do exactly what you just said. Be curious about it. And I love what you just said about like, be curious about like what would be on the other side. Like, what would happen if I made it through this uncomfortable moment? Where would I be? And so I took a walk the other day with Sammy, our Labradoodle, and said, all right, let's go out for a walk. And there's a pier, and I never go beyond the pier because that's my safety that I could dive under, right? And so I thought, no, we're going to take 10 steps beyond the pier. And I took 10 steps, and then I stopped and stood there and turned around and said, all right, let's take 10 more and see what happens. And so I just kept going and kept going. I got to about 30, and then I was like, yep, no longer curious, and ran back to the pier.
Yeah, you reached your threshold. It's good to listen to that.
Right. But it
Good
so
for
works, and
you.
it's awesome.
It is. Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's what it's all about. It's just, can I just push a little bit more? And it doesn't have to be really scary. It doesn't have to be really painful
Right.
to move beyond those. It's just, can I do a little bit more? How's 10 more steps? Like it's so powerful. I found that with my breath too. And I'm doing this style of breath work now where it's like a circular style of breath work. They developed it in the 60s when they legalized LSD. And there was this therapist who was working with people and psychedelics, and you realize, oh, altered states of consciousness is really beneficial for helping people to heal trauma. And so he developed this breathwork exercise to induce this altered state of consciousness. And so it's a circular breathing technique. And it basically it knocks down your protective barriers so that you can witness and feel and release the trauma and the pain inside you. And it also brings you into these mystical experiences where this really profound healing and like awakening kind of experience can happen. So I was doing this circular breath work, and I was feeling like, I can't breathe. No, I can't breathe. I can't right now. And then my mind would be like, well, is that true? Let's just try it. What would happen if you just took a couple more breaths? And I kept going, and it was uncomfortable, but there was still curiosity there. And on the other side of that was this, releasing, just so much emotional release. And then on the other side of that was this connection with my spirit guides, with my spirit, with Mother Earth, and this feeling of reunion and healing with all of that. And it's just step by step. Can I move past this shadow? Can I move past this fear? And I found that again and again and again, there's always a gift on the other side. There's always more freedom, another part of ourselves that we get to find there, another part of life. It's the most rewarding work that I've ever done, is just continue stepping through those places that are uncomfortable or even scary or dark or whatever they might feel like.
Wow. Like huge kudos to you for doing it, because I just think like I instantly go to, I would totally freak out and be like, I can't do it. But I mean, just what courage, and just that's amazing. So
Oh,
yes.
thank you. You too. You too. It takes courage to step forward when you're scared. Like, there wouldn't be courage if there wasn't fear.
True. That's so very true. So anything else that you wanted to touch upon before we close out for today?
Oh, I'm just really happy to get to talk about healing. And um, I feel like for anyone else who's going through their healing journey, just to know that they do have those answers inside them, that that healing is available to them. And the body is intelligent. It does know how to heal. Just as we learn how to listen to it and listen to our heart, then things start opening up more and more. And it's always possible to heal. It's always possible to get unstuck. It's always possible to sense and feel and open up to something more and answer and that calling that a lot of people feel. I think a lot of people are feeling called to do something more, live in a different way, but they don't know what that is. Um, that a part of them does. It's just about learning how to access that. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. So, well, I call this my soul work, but
Mm,
I just feel it. Like this is where I just feel overwhelmed with joy, connecting with beautiful souls like yourself. And yeah, it is. It's just it was a calling. So
absolutely. That's beautiful. It's
thanks.
so beautiful to be in that flow. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. It's like this is why I'm here.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do people connect with you, get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can find me on my website is mindbodyfree.com. So there you can book a free discovery call to see if, if they'd like to explore more of healing and awakening and answering that call for them. There's also some free resources on there where they can find like healing journeys and ways to connect with their heart. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook at You Are Mind Body Free. And my podcast is also Mind Body Free. So pretty much, yeah, that's where.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, I'll put links and show notes to everybody so you can find all of that. And well, this has just been such a joy and a pleasure to meet you and soul connect with you. So,
Thank you so much, Teri. Yeah, it's been such a pleasure.
all right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today on the Healing Place podcast. And remember, until next time, be gentle with yourself. Thanks. Bye bye. Hey, everybody. Teri Wellbrock again. Just wanted to thank you for listening to the episode today and remind you to visit my website as well as the academy.teriwellbrock.com for the courses. But if you go to my website, teriwellbrock.com, you can sign up for my monthly Hope for Healing newsletter, which is also jam-packed with information and strategies and blog pieces and guest blog pieces and links to shows. Um, and just a great space for, again, healing and hope. Thanks for, again, being here and being a part of this healing space. I very much appreciate you. All right. Bye bye.